Anti-heroes can be inspiring due to their unconventional evolution in a story. They can present us with an interesting critique of our reality. Seeing things through the eyes of a character fated to pain and failure can be an exciting contrast. That moment when you find yourself not really sure about the morality of that character. Trying to figure out if you should feel guilty for him or if you agree with his actions. And I ask myself how I would try to convey this idea of a grey area in music. Hi, my name is Jimmy and welcome to this series of videos where I try to reimagine the soundtrack of a game. To be clear, this is neither a cover nor a remix of the original soundtrack. Instead, I'll compose my own music for clips I've recorded. And today's game is Max Payne 3. It was released by Rockstar Games in 2012 and I remembered it fondly over the years. We owe the original soundtrack to a band that I really like called Health. I recently replayed the storyline and the character of Max inspired me to work on this new soundtrack. In short, Max Payne is retired from the NYPD after the murder of his wife and daughter. Max drowns his sorrow in alcohol and painkillers and his cynicism is at an all-time high. He meets Passos, who offers him a job as a bodyguard for a wealthy family in Brazil. Some members are kidnapped and that's where you start your adventure with Max. Gameplay-wise, it's fairly straightforward. It's a third-person cover shooter where you progress through linear levels with multiple encounters of enemies and high-octane action sequences between cutscenes. The gimmick of Max Payne is, of course, the slow motion. Be ready! I'm gonna say slow motion a bunch of times during this video. You are warned. As for the music, I want to represent the contrast between Max's cynicism and his growing will to redeem himself. Set in levels going from the nightlife of the rich and the gang territory of the favelas. Alright, let's get this show on the road. Among the 3 levels I've worked on, I wanted to start with the first level. It started with a party on the balcony of a skyscraper. From there, I built up a dance groove. Fairly simple, a 4 on the floor beat that sounds like this. And a bass on the synthesizer that goes like this. So I had the basics of a dance track conveying the ambience of the party we just left and bringing some punch to the gunfights. And now it's time for some contrast. I made this sound on my synthesizer to depict the tension residing inside Max's psyche between his drug problems, his past, and cynical opinions on high society. There's also the matter of the slow motion during gameplay. There are so many ways to approach this mechanic. Here, whenever the player entered a slow motion state, I used the low pass filter on drums. And also white noise ramping up, pumped by the kick drums, ultimately creating the notion of the slow motion meter depleting. Later in the stage, you leave the building for the underground parking. And that's where I shifted the club mood for a more grounded one. The person Max is trying to rescue is getting away, and the pressure rises. The bass line stays the same, I added a support guitar for some grittiness. Furthermore, the drums are now more realistic and organic, alternating in velocity to reflect the stress of the situation. In place of the synthesizer, I recorded a highly processed guitar. I first drenched it in delay, run it through a tremolo, and some reverb. The delay and tremolo created a whole new instrument to play with. And this time, the slow motions are influenced by the tremolo speed, ramping up or down. It is time to see how it all comes together.
enough favors. I didn't need to give them more of a head start.
It's Max!
I couldn't resist making something for one of the rare flashbacks in the story. And I'm talking about the New York City level. It was a nice opportunity to go for a heavy rock energy. The basics of rock are pretty straightforward. Drum, bass, and guitars. I played this riff across the clip. And I recorded two versions, one softer and one louder, depending on whether the player is in combat or not. This served as a canvas for additional organic instruments. Speaking of which, I recorded harmonics on guitar, oscillating between stress and relief. Once again, portraying Max's disturbed point of view, omnipresent and searing above what's happening. As for the slow motion part, I incorporated two elements. One pressing pattern played on guitar with delays serving as a clock for the slow motion meter. And one guitar solo I improvised and then reversed. It's giving the sensation that Max sees things so slowly that he even knows what's gonna happen. In the second part of the clip, Max is fighting his way out on the rooftops. I wanted to create a new contrast, replacing the guitars expressing Max's feeling with a pad on my synthesizer. With this sound, I aim for an epic sensation and somewhat redemptive. Indeed, Max is escaping New York with his new acquaintance, Passos, who promised him a new life, leaving behind his past and hoping for a new beginning. And all this culminates in the final slow motion sequence at the end of the clip. Alright, it's time to see how it sounds.
See what's waiting outside for us.
Well, it ain't gonna be a warm cup of milk and a blowjob. Stop. God, help me. Stop. Fine. What do you mean, fine? Come on, huh? We're not I heard something.
Hunch.
Up there.
Up where?
Up there.
What you bitching?
No, there he is. Shoot him. God damn it.
The next clip I've worked on is set in the favelas. At first, Max fights his way through gang members to save the people he was hired for, but it turns sour and he ends up failing. This is a turning point where Max's objectives become personal while he deals with a new military threat. Starting off with the gang, I tried making what I felt like could be a Brazilian groove. It's a combination of electronic drum kit and percussion. I added a bass line on my synthesizer. And now I have the bass of the song to expand upon. You should be familiar with how I approach Max Payne soundtrack by now. I need something for Max's psyche and the slow motion. Regarding his mental state, at this point, Max is sober. Everyone has given up on him, and he's now taking matters into his hands. That's why I recorded a crash cymbal, playing every beat, always present, driving the players by Max's commitment. On the other hand, I played a synth pattern for the slow motion part. It ramps up or down in subdivisions, once again for a ticking time effect. And then I reversed it half the time it appears. I also used a high pass filter on drum and bass during the slow motions. After that, I took care of the second part of the clip where Max encounters the military. It's the toughest confrontation yet for Max. The groove mutated from a 4/4 to a 12/8. I changed the electronic drums and percussion for a more conventional rock drum kit. I also reinforced the bass line with subtle guitars. Furthermore, I added a discrete synth pad with a tremolo playing a chord progression. It gets more distinct during the slow motion moments. As for Max's mind, I went for a melody on guitar and some okay sounding brass. This melody, compared to how I treated Max's psyche before, is evocative of his evolution. He's now trying to become a hero and fights for what he believes in. He deserved this melody, that to me sound a bit like a Western movie type of theme. I'll let you make your own opinion on that matter. And then we reach the climax. I wanted to describe the chaos and tension of these types of moments. Max always goes head on into these epic scenes and prays for the best. The drums shifted to a 6/8 feeling, and the synth pattern from earlier returns, still in 4/4. The melody evolved into something suspended, and sometimes I improvise some tense trills. And before I reveal how everything sounds together, I wanted to take the time to thank you for watching this video. I love challenging myself on the soundtrack remake, and I hope you enjoyed it. Do you feel this could work as a soundtrack for Max Payne? Or maybe you imagined something completely different? Well, feel free to share your thoughts. And now, it's time for the result. Take care.
I was walking into another not-so-welcome party. These hoods didn't look like Commando Sombra. Not that I was gonna get picky. This was clearly their turf, and I just shot up their favorite skin joint.